roadmap to high earnings, exploring the best paying lanes at 4.0 per mile. Some viewers watching right now, they kind of excited about this, and at the same time, uh, they doubt about that. Hey, there isn't any lanes right now, paying like $4 and per mile. This is huge. But what if I tell you that it's really possible, and there are a lot of people, carriers out there making, um, making this money per mile. It's very, very possible, and I'll be sharing some, tips and tactics. Today's video will be specifically for the carriers, and obviously, if you are independent freight dispatcher and you really interested in dispatching and finding these loads, but I really want you to pay attention to your customers, because we have a lot of students and carriers that we dispatch. People get really confused about the I would say carriers, meaning their customers. Well, first of all, if you're a carrier, and as I said, today's video was specifically for carriers, because I was a carrier in the past, and I really wanted to help you guys to find the best paying loads. But I really want this live training is very engaging, and if you guys ask questions, and I'll do my best to deliver. And at the same time, I do have some thoughts, ideas to share with you. A lot of people right now, meaning people, when I say a lot of people, is what I mean by that is people in the trucking industry, specifically carriers, owner operators, people who own their trucks and trailers, um, and carriers who own like two and or more trucks. So, is it really possible? If you do believe that $4 per mile is possible, then obviously whatever I will share in this live training will help you to get there. Yes, maybe some of you thinking that maybe you will be talking about the tri-haul principles. Yes, tri-haul is working, but at the same time, load board, it sucks right now. We can't find any loads. But I just popped up. I searched I did a couple of checked a couple of lanes for different markets, like power only, and I did for low boys, and I checked for the step decks, and I checked also for the flatbed. Guys, there are a lot of high paying loads out there, but I really wanted to talk to you, and please let me know in the comments that what is your market. First of all, this is a very, very, very important question. And if you are in a car hauling business, meaning you hauling cars, maybe $4 per mile, it's not enough for you. Maybe you are in the flatbed market, maybe $3 enough for you, or the 2.8 miles, per miles, the rate per mile is enough for you. But I really, really wanted to know if you guys are carriers watching right now. Maybe you are an independent freight dispatch and helping your carriers find loads, but then you're struggling finding loads. But I really wanted to ask this question before I move on. What is your market? So what's the market you're serving right now? So if I were you, for example, I'll be answering this question this way. I was a carrier. I had a company, name called the Prime Express out of Atlanta, Georgia. So we owned about 4 trucks. But then obviously we changed the business model, moved to dispatching freight instead of owning our own equipment, meaning trucks and trailers. So we still dispatch people, and we get to this level, meaning 4.0. Well, yes, some people will say, well, I don't know, with the spot market rate right now, we're looking at the load board, and I strategically pulled this load board specifically for you. But I really want to say something like this. We don't pull any loads off of a load board for a 4.0. I repeat, we don't pull the loads off of a load boards for 4.0, right? We own a company as a dispatch trucks. We teach people how to become independent freight dispatchers. We help or consult carriers how to find best paying loads, connect with with shippers. Well, actually, we basically help them connect with the shippers. So we don't get sometimes we get loads using some tactics, and we do know the couple of brokers that we can pull this much. But again, this is the reason why I asked this question: is what is the market you serve, and what about the are you a dedicated trucker, the dedicated freight trucker, meaning you own your own customers, or you basically build a your business around, maybe you have 2 3 trucks, maybe a small fleet owner, maybe you're an owner operator, own a truck and trailer, maybe it's paid off, maybe not. If you built your business, it is small, it's huge, it doesn't matter, based on the load board, then things are very, very hard for you right now. So if you're an independent freight dispatcher, specifically this time around, that supply demand is disrupted, yes, it's really hard to find loads using the load board specifically. I was talking to my students, and when I say that it's possible to pull 3.0, 4.0 per mile, and they will, get confused, and carriers as well. They, some of the carriers, they're struggling and say, well, it's not possible. And I totally get it, because they look at the load board, although we have good paying loads, but they will look at it and then, well, no, it's very cheap. Drive-in owners right now, they're very struggling. A lot of people going out of business right and left. But then I'm not talking about the spot market rate. For those of you who don't know, the spot market is basically, in a simple way explaining this, is using a load board. If you are an owner operator, if you're a dispatcher, any part of the world, maybe you're in the US, outside the US, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're a carrier in the US and you're very, very struggling. But I would say this: if you're using just only the load board for your business, it's very hard for you to survive in this contraction. It's very, very hard for you to survive in this situation. It's brutally competitive. It's a capital intensive business. You need money to it, and I know, right? I had 4 trucks, and I know this. So then what's the solution, and how you get, maybe you're asking, like, how you get the 4.0 or 5.0 or 3.0, something like that. Well, before we move on to this, I really want to talk about something very important. I had a conversation with the carrier, and we've been talking about, like, it's very hard right now to move loads. There are a lot of cheap loads. What's going on? There are a lot of things going on, obviously. There are a lot of things going on. And then I realized there is a confusion that there are not enough loads to move. But guys, this is what I really wanted to tell you: that there are a lot of freight to move, but then the only thing is the freight is cheap right now because a lot of new carriers come into the game, right? So I was listening to a podcast, and I was reading articles about the post COVID, that a lot of banks lending the money for new truckers, right? New carriers. There a lot of people wanted to just um, let me see. Something happened. Do you guys see? Do you guys hear me? Okay, everything's good. For some reason, my screen's refreshed. So please let me know if this helps you, and if you just listening to me, you can hear me. Okay, there's no problem. Let me know in the comments below. And I really wanted to know if you are a carrier or independent freight dispatcher, and I really wanted to know your struggles right now. So if I know your struggles, we'll go into details explaining this, and I'll do my best to help you. But I really want you to just, let me know what your struggles are, and what specific help do you need. So we have this, I don't know, maybe 20-30 minutes of time. This is your time. Just, use it or lose it, right? So ask me a question, and I'll do my best to help you. So what I can hear with James says, James, thank you so much. It really helps. Thank you. So um, let's see. Valid Halit says, I represent independent dispatch. Okay, so you are an independent freight dispatch. And also, guys, let me know where you guys are from. I really wanted to know where you guys are from, where you guys. So if you're a dispatcher, so do you dispatch in the U.S., outside the U.S. Please let me know. Um, Let me see. I think this is Mary says, for some reason I stopped hearing you for a few seconds. Yes, this is what I realized. So it just refreshed. Let me see. Let me go back. Valid says facing being a victim to either um, follow the broker or get a freight guard. Okay, so let me see. Valid. He's from Pakistan. Hello to Pakistan. Awesome. Um, Guys, the conversation that I had with the carrier, this is specific carrier, and um, the struggle. I'll come back to struggle, but then this confusion is that, hey, listen, there are not enough loads to move. It's not true, right? So we also have this import export business, and we know we move a lot of construction materials, and we know that things are moving. Yes, it slowed down a little bit, but it's not like as you think, like, oh, this is the end. That's it. So it's end of the trucking industry. So we're not gonna survive this. Let me see. Mary says I'm in the US. And also, Miro, let me know which part of the US. Let me know. So Nick says a carrier in the USA. Awesome, Nick. Nick, also please let me know the market you serve. Are you in a drive-in market? Are you in a refrigerator or temperature control market? Are you flatbed? Just let me know. Or are you're a car hauler or whatever? Just let me know, and I'll do my best. And at the same time, please let me know the question you have. So you are in the carrier in the US. What market do you serve? Carriers? Like, do you move cars? Do you move heavy duty equipment, produce, what have you? Just let me know. And at the same time, let me know the struggle you have. Okay, awesome. LRG Freight. I heard about you guys, I think. It's from Louisiana. Hello to Louisiana. Awesome. Mary, Mary, I'm assuming you're a female. I'm trying to become a dispatcher. Awesome. Mary, so you're trying to become a dispatcher, and please let me know specific question, like where do I start? Like what should I do? Okay, so Nick, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. Awesome. We close. I've been in Charlotte, North Carolina many times. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Awesome. Valid says, and the freight is even falls, but still you will need a lawyer just to get to remove, else someone just destroyed your business putting a freight guard. Okay, so Valid, tell me about this. Like when you said freight guard, okay, so why do you need a lawyer, and why are you talking about this freight guard? Or so somebody, it's not allowing you to move freight, or like what's the specific problem you have? So the freight brokers, there are a lot of ways to avoid freight brokers, and obviously a lot of carriers using them for a convenience. Well, this is how we can put it, right? So I don't want to go and find my own customers, but I really want to work with the broker so the broker can get me a customer. So if your customers on the hands of other people, basically you don't have a business, right? So if I'm a carrier and I own 4 trucks or 5 trucks and I solely depend on load boards, or specifically depend on the brokers, I don't have like real customers that I serve. My real customers are my dedicated shippers, the dedicated lane that I have from a shipper. So shipper has the freight, and I have trucks, and I move the freight, right? So when you allow something in between, this is where we struggle, right? So we'll get into this. Nick says he's in a box truck. Nick, really quick, DAT power load board will help you in some way, but again, so you're a very niche market. I think there are a lot of opportunities right now, specifically for box truck. But if you are using, let's say, Trucker's Edge or DAT Power Load Board, you will struggle. Although there is a way to pull a lot of loads off of a DAT Power, and I'll show you. Just let me know during this conversation. I'll do my best to help you. But then, if you're a box truck, you really want to go and talk to direct shippers, right? So distribution centers, for example. And if you have a box truck, I don't know the dimensions, what specifics you have, but then the furniture market will be the best bet, right? So this is what I'm thinking. But again, I don't know the specific of your equipment, but this is what I think when people say box truck. I referred a lot of people and I consult a lot of carriers in the box truck, and I help them to get into the furniture market. A lot of moving stuff. So if you're thinking about the DAT power or looking for some loads, connecting with some brokers, you can definitely do that. But your market is very niche. You're very specific in the niche market. So be careful. Let's see. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Elevated Ashera. Awesome. Beautiful lady. She's also in the box truck. And I really wanted to know, like, what specific regions, for example, you are in. So are you a nationwide? Are you a regional? So if you're a regional, what part of the US and what type of commodity are you moving? So let's see. Mary says, I'm interested about working as a dispatcher from home. Awesome. So in this channel, there are a lot of the videos that help you to get to this. Like you have a starting point. You wanted to go to the destination, which is you own your independent freight dispatching business and you dispatch freight from home. This is the channel you want to watch the videos. So if you have specific, like, hey, what's the first step? Like, what's the second step? Tell me about this and tell me about this, and I'll do my best to help. Okay, Columbia, South Carolina. Awesome. Neighbors. Let's do this. Mary, she is South Florida. Okay, what part? South Florida. Awesome. I love Daytona Beach. And what is it? Orlando, Florida. Awesome. Let me see. Brokers are saying it's bad. Brokers are saying it's bad. Brokers are saying it's bad. Do you mean the loads or the freight posted on the spot market? And again, when I say spot market, I really mean this. It's right in front of you. This is a load board. And this is basically how the freight moves. So we have the shipper and we have the carrier. And then we have dedicated carriers working with the shipper. So if there is a load, and then, for example, the carrier rejects this, what we call is tender rejection, when they reject the load, and then these loads are being posted to the load boards. And how they're being posted, some shippers post their own loads, but majority of time or most of the time, brokers will get into this and said, okay, so I have army of carriers. We talked about this, and let me know what you're paying. And then obviously, since it's been rejected, so the carrier says, well, I don't want to move this load. And then it's just like this shipper right now assigns this load to a broker. Why? Because broker has a lot of carriers where it's basically will be posted on a load board, and that a lot of carriers will be fighting to get this load. And this is how the loads get really, really cheap. So think about when the broker, it's a middleman, and it's basically the convenience for the carrier, and also it's a convenience for the shipper. Excuse me. And obviously you are losing the money, right? So it's just goes down line the pipe, and what's happening, it's just the money is it's funneling, right? So this load is being let's say posted by the shipper for the 4,000, and then as soon as it gets to the load board, it's already is 2,800, and then there are a lot of cuts and there are a lot of negotiation, and broker sees that, hey, there are a lot of carriers calling about this load, and it will be easy to assign this load. Now this load is being canceled and posted for about $1,800, and this is how it is ridiculous, I know, but this is the process. So let's go into this. I switched from having a brokerage company to dispatch only. Wow, this is something very, very interesting, and I really wanted to know, why is that? So you struggled finding shippers, like direct shippers, in working with carriers, or like do you struggled getting the carriers, and at the same time, obviously, getting the shippers? We also did a couple of videos about this, starting a brokerage company. A lot of my students interested in the past to become a freight broker. But I told them that, listen, if you are an independent freight dispatcher, you have just one customer, right? So the customer segment, I would say, shippers, right? So I mean, the carriers. But for the broker, if you wanted to become a broker, but you know that you're becoming a middleman, right? Now, if you're in the middle, that means you have left side and right side. So on the left side, you have carriers. And then on the right side, now you need to attract shippers, but at the same time, attract carriers, and you need to manage this. It's very, very hard to run a brokerage company. So I really wanted to know, is that the reason you switched? And if you can share, that'll be awesome. Okay, so Dave says, it asks for the viewers. I said, I'm looking for the top recommendation for independent dispatcher TMS. TMS, it's a transportation management system. It's a software, but again, Dave, I would recommend. So if you are a carrier, I would recommend working with TruckStop because they have ITS dispatch, very user friendly. It's an awesome. But again, when you look at or looking for the TMS, what type of TMS you specifically looking for? So there are a lot of TMS out there, but then they have each, so to speak, like serving different needs, and they have different features. So you feel like, hey, I really struggle with an X, Y, and Z, and I would do my best to help you. But if you need like all in one, I would recommend ITS Dispatch by TruckStop. Look into this. It's an awesome tool. I use in the past when I was a carrier, I use ITS Dispatch. Okay, so Mary says, how do I start? I guess I have to be familiar with the software, but it's getting hard to find a company that lets you work from home. Let you work from home. There are a lot of carriers. Think about the trend right now. There are a lot of carriers working with since this COVID thing, and in the post-pandemic, a lot of carriers working with remote workers, remote independent freight dispatchers, and this is where I don't agree with you. But again, if you're new to this world, and obviously you're thinking about like, hey, will those people trust me so that I can move their trucks? But I think it's more of a like self-limiting belief, instead that, hey, carriers won't allow me to dispatch. Well, a lot of people out there dispatching already. So how do I start? But first thing first, you need to learn about ins and outs of a dispatching, right? What's a dispatch? What goes into the dispatching? A lot of people, when people say dispatching, they know this is what they mean. It's finding loads, booking the loads, and then obviously dispatching the loads. Finding loads, this is what you're looking at right now on your screen, is the load board. So you need to be really, really, comfortable using the load board. As you can see, the two loads already gone. This is the live feed. I'm using the DAT Power for the training purposes. So this is the tool that you will be starting with. And obviously, yes, right now it's very hard to find best paying loads. But then you need to get familiar with using the tools, specifically the DAT Power Load Board or DAT Tracker's Edge, for example. So this is how you start. Learning comes first, right? And obviously there is a learning curve. But then moving, forward, obviously you need to start your LLC. And again, this is solely for information and entertainment purposes only. But I highly recommend working with professionals like small business attorneys, something like that. There are a lot of companies out there that they will help you starting your LLC. And there is a reason for that. Is the FMCSA rule that dispatchers must have an LLC. In the past, there are a lot of people like did this without an LLC, but then right now it's illegal to dispatch loads without an LLC. And then also you need an LLC for a contract. What we call is dispatcher carrier agreement. So if you don't have a company, that's basically it's a B2B business model. So you're a business and a carrier is in the business. So it's basically this is a B2B business. So you must be familiar with the paperwork, the rate confirmation, the terminologies, whatnot. Okay, so we have a training. So if you wanted to check it out, there will be a link for the free guide below this video so you can check. Awesome, great questions. Okay, let's go into this. Camille says, what do you think about Splinter van and finding lows for that? Also, well, this is a great question, but I really wanted to know when you say Splinter van, like, yes, you do have an equipment, right? So I don't know how many equipments you have. The more is better. The more is better. What I mean is, like, let's say if you have like 5 or 6, you're more competitive if I have just one, right? So we approach, let's say, any palletized freight, for example, in your region. So if you live in the Southeast region, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, this is a Southeast area, and then you just like you're regional. But then if you like confine yourself in like one state, for example, Georgia or South Carolina, but then like what do you move specifically, right? So I really and highly recommend going into working with the shippers. This is a time where you guys going out of the office, right, and then you go and talk to your shipper. Yes, they are some owner operators. They might say something like, well, I have one truck, and it will be really hard for me to get into this. Yes, it always possible, but it's very limited number of shippers that they will be working with you, and those are like a mom and pop, shops. Basically, it's a small business. Maybe they will have like 2 loads per month, or just 1 load per month, or something like that. But then you need to get a lot of it so that you can connect yourself and then move these loads, and this is how you can build your business. So hope that helps. But again, if you're a Splinter van, and even in a hot shot or a box truck, it's very niche specific market. So you need to identify like, what should I move, right? So if when you have that, it will be easy. For box truck, as I said, it will be furniture market is booming, and then a lot of moving stuff, right? So that a lot of friends and families in this business. In a box truck, in a van, is for the van, it will be specifically palletized freight. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, so let's see. I think we skipped a couple of. Let's take this one. Hello, hope all well. Haven't seen you on a live in a while. What loads are paying for miles in Florida? Trey, be honest with you, they're really. It will be hard for you to find $4 per mile in Florida. There's some regions, obviously, and guys, when you look at the load board, you're looking at basically the national rate. But I really want you to don't be confused with the regional rates, right? So, and again, I'm specifically talking about the spot market rate. You go onto the load board and you see these trends, and you see that, oh, nation, wide this is how much they're paying. But remember, it's a nationwide, but it's not a regional. I really want you to go into regional, and you just like dissect that region. And for example, think about the Southeast area, for example. Think about the specific region. Well, think even like a 2 states, for example, neighboring states. Think about like North Carolina and South Carolina. Just pick one state and go into, for example, shippers. I drove a lot in Atlanta area, talking to shippers, specifically distribution centers, because I was interested in bringing in construction materials into the United States. I was talking to a lot of shippers, and again, for the Splinter vans specifically, they are. But again, I'm not into that business. But then dimensions are very important. But going into talking to distribution centers, not well. I think I know there is a huge plywood distribution center. I think they're called US Ply, and I think they're based on Florida. So you guys can talk to them if you have. But I don't know. And again, if you're a flatbed, if you're a drive-in, and again, I don't know the market, but the default is obviously the flatbed, because I was in the flatbed / step deck market. This is why I say this. So you can talk to those guys. And again, if you have 3, 4, 5 trucks, and obviously you're in a good position. But again, load boards, this is where it's very hard for you to survive in this business if you just solely depend on load boards, period. So if you have 2, 3 trucks, 1 truck, it doesn't matter. If you're looking for a load using a load boards, it's huge, it's deadly. You just need to move out of your office, hire a dispatcher. If you're a carrier, just go and talk to the shippers. So, and again, if you need like a specific consultation about like how to approach them, and then what are the contracts, what's the process, just email me, and I'll do my best to help you. So as far as the email goes, this is the email. So you can email me and I'll do my best to help you. Okay. Hope that helps. Let me come back to a question. Let's see. Wow, you guys have a lot of questions. Okay. Let's take this. Zahid says, tell me how can I get better lanes for box trucks or dedicated run? So in these three states. Zahid, tell me, have you done, and also you can use load board to do for example, market research. If you are just using a load board, just log into the load board and you just put origin and destination, and you're not studying the market, you will struggle. So I highly recommend using it. And again, as you can see, these two loads just already gone while I'm talking. It's already gone. But a lot of people moving these loads, and also we can talk about the specifically load boards, how you can optimize load boards so you can pull a lot of box truck loads. So we'll come back to this question. I'll take a couple more and we'll take it from there. But I do see that you guys have a lot of questions. Let's see. Let's take. I'm very happy with the change just to work with the carriers from a different perspective, as well as the dramatic shift. Let's see. An attitude towards the brokers was a lot. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I got it. Let's see. So according to the DAT market conditions, okay, awesome. So that really tells me that this person or this company, they're really the student of their market. So it's very good. So according to the DAT market conditions, Louisiana has been a very hot market for outgoing flatbeds. Okay, why do you think? Like, why and viewers watching this right now? It's about 30 people watching right now. Let me know, the carriers out there, people are interested in the market, the DAT market conditions. Like, why Louisiana for the outgoing flatbeds? That means outgoing, guys, for those of you who don't know, the outgoing market is there are a lot of flatbed / step deck loads going out of Louisiana to a different state. But my question will be, like, first of all, like, why is that? Why there are a lot of loads going out of a flatbed, flatbed loads, and where they're going to? This is very, very, very important. So, and let's see, but it's hard to connect with carriers on a load board. Trucks posted. Okay. I got it. So let me take. So what's the what would be the specific question? So your question is how to connect carriers on load board. Is that what you're saying? Are you to me, it seems like you're a freight dispatch company. Okay, I do see on a logo it says freight dispatch company. Yes, awesome. So it's very hard for you to connect. Well, to me, I think is you have you're struggling with finding carriers. Is that the question? So if that's the question, I'll come back to the marketing tactics and we'll talk about a little bit of a marketing. Okay. Let's go into this. Waka says, Glad is working out for you. I'm trying to get an agent right now, hoping to get some info on how to crack it. Awesome. Okay. No, I didn't try a freight agent. Most had a no book of business. And again, see this term, no book of business. This is very important. I'm glad you mentioned this. And we touched about at the beginning of this live training. And as I said, listen, if you are a dispatch company, your book of business, basically, this means your carriers, right? Your customers. You must have a customers in order to be in the business. A lot of people get confused, specifically people that I know, is like, hey, I purchased this truck and trailer, so I have 2 to 3 trucks, and I'm using a load board. I'm moving I'm in the business. Well, maybe you're making some money, but if you don't have your real customers, then you're not in the business. So it's awesome, yeah. So I think this was for the Wakas. Let's see, they're talking to each other. Awesome. So okay, so yes, carriers. So basically, this is the question about marketing and sales. So I had email, very detailed email. I really want to share this with you. It says about like, hey Kamal, you do a live training on YouTube. We'll love it. We really love it. But then you're not going into details. I said, well, then we schedule a call with that person, and then we talked about for about the 45 minutes, and said, listen, and that person became our student. But then we talked about this, like, I don't know specific of your business, and there are a lot of people watching on the live, in average 60 people watching live video, and then on the live training, and after that there are thousands of people watching this, but I don't know specifically your business. For example, this LRG Freight, first I thought is a carrier, but then I look at the logo, then I realized that it's a dispatch company. So now if you're struggling with carriers, I have no idea who do you serve, first of all, right? So if I have you, I think we should do this, is basically taking on a live and asking questions so that everybody learns that, right? So it's basically like a hot seat, something like that. We can do that. If you guys like it, please let me know. If we can, if you're guys interested in that, we can definitely do that. But I don't know your marketing strategies. I don't know what type of marketing have you done in the past. Have you used any social media, let's say social media marketing? Have you done any paid ads? Like, do you have sales funnels? Do you know what sales funnel is? So I really wanted to know this. Have you emailed any emails to your list? Do you have a list of potential carriers? Do you generate, or are you generating any leads day in, day out? So if you don't do this, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then obviously you need to kind of dive into the marketing and know how you can approach. But the first step is to know who do you serve. So if you are a freight dispatcher, and if you say, Kamal, I dispatch box trucks, I dispatch Splinter vans, hot shots, I dispatch car haulers, I dispatch van, I dispatch everybody. Then the second thing I can say is that it will be really, really hard for you to get a carrier. Why? Because, if you catch two rabbits, what happens? You catch none, right? So I highly, highly recommend like focusing on, this is what I teach, this is what I share with my students, is that just pick one market. For example, it's a flatbed market. Just focus on this and get carriers. That's it. Focus on one specific market. And there are a lot of carriers out there looking for independent freight dispatcher because they're struggling right now, struggling connect with shippers, struggling connect with brokers, struggling getting loads off of, or pulling the best paying loads off of a load board. If you don't know how to use a load board, obviously you can help carriers, right? So if you're not doing any marketing day in, day out, if you're not generating leads, and then if you're not nurturing those leads, and if you're not talking those leads, then getting a carrier will be very, very hard for you. And this is one of the reasons why we don't go into the details talking about, hey, do this, do that, because I don't know the specific of your business. Okay, hope this helps. Yes, we'll do all these marketing avenues. Okay, we serve the flatbed market only. Awesome, awesome, perfect. Because I didn't know. So, guys, well, this was awesome training. So, and again, this is an email this is the email that you can send me an email, and I'll do my best to help you if you need any consulting as far as building the dedicated lane, talking to shippers, whatnot. But again, we'll be doing these live trainings like every week. Please prepare for the next live training, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.